Left field, up against the wall. 2 runs are going to score. It'll be a single for Joey Bart.
And that's a 3-hit night for Joey Bart. It's going to happen sooner than later. He's going to start climbing up the lineup.
Kruk and Kipe on a call, NBC Sports Bay Area. By the way, the walk-off on Sunday with Tyrell Estrada. Flem had an unbelievable call. And we have Dave Flemming on the Morning Roast presented by the County of Santa Clara. Book a COVID-19 booster shot now at SECFreevax.org or call 211. And Flem, they're saying there's a chance. The Giants are 4 back of the Padres in the loss column for the wild card. And how about Joey Bart? Joey Bart at this time last month, he was batting like 178, Flem. You know the numbers. You cover the team every single day. Now he's up to in the 230s, 3 for 4, and what do you know? He may be batting 6th or 5th tonight against the D-backs.
If it were up to me, I'd just keep him right where he is. I think for now, because you're trying to accomplish 2 things. You are trying as a team to get back in the race. And maybe they've done it now. They still have to make up a lot of ground. It's not easy to do. They got to get over 2 different teams. Really, they have to get over 3 teams. But so you're trying to do that, but then you're also long-term trying to develop a guy who has a chance to be a really important player for your franchise. Mm-hmm. And so how do you balance those? Well, you play the guy. You're giving him tons of chances. You're working with him. You're grinding it out with him. But also maybe just ease off on, like, immediately thrusting him into the middle of the order. And I think Joey can handle it. I don't think it's a issue of, like, this guy's intimidated or something like that. But leave a good thing alone for now, because he's got a good thing going. It's been really exciting to watch.
Yeah, Dave, I'm loving where he's at. I mean, at one point during this year, he was striking out essentially every other at-bat. That's down to about 28%, which is great, but he's using the whole field, and he hit that home run to dead center the other day, and then he goes to right field last night. The situational awareness to drop that bunt as Bumgarner's arguing with the umpire from the previous at-bat, third base is kind of falling asleep. Like, he just feels like he's in the zone and he's in the moment right now. What are you seeing maybe mechanically different in terms of his batting stance or his approach to the plate?
Well, he did the little thing where if you do compare the swings, he did change his swing, not much, but slightly. And the position of his hands where he starts, the idea was to try to keep the bat in the strike zone for a little bit longer. Have it be a little bit. Yeah, I don't think anybody ever teaches a flat swing anymore. That's not what anybody wants. The modern swing coaching isn't, when you and I were kids, that's
line drives,
swing, line drive right back up the middle. That's not what they teach anymore, and for good reason. But his bat's staying in the zone a little longer. I think the other thing that he's done now, he has tweaked his approach slightly, where he is being more aggressive. Part of what was happening before was his only avenue to helping the Giants was to get on base by a walk. And so he really became very passive, and he was actually taking some walks. That's a big part of what's happened this year with Joey is he's demonstrated he knows the strike zone. But the problem was that was the only thing he was doing that was helping the Giants offensively. He sacrificed some of that walk now to be more aggressive early in the count, and putting the ball in play, it helps you in a lot of different ways. But we've seen in the last 2 games even, he had the bloop hit against the Pirates, which was a big hit in the middle of a rally. Last night he hits the ball hard to right field, but basically that's just a fly ball. He's so strong it carried out to the wall. But if you put the ball in play more, you're gonna get more of those hits. So then your confidence starts to grow a little bit. So there've been some big benefits for him being just even a little bit more aggressive. It's really exciting, and all the credit to him, because I just can't. It's hard to describe how hard it is in the middle of a major league season against the kind of pitching that you see day in and day out, to be making tweaks and adjustments and have that actually work really, really hard. Credit to him.
No doubt about that. Dave Flemming on a morning roast here on a Tuesday morning. Dave Flemming, of course, calls everything. Giants games, college football, basketball, all that stuff. Before we get back into the Giants and D-backs, because Merrill Kelly against Jacob Junis tonight, it's a big game for the Giants to try to win 5 in a row. I do want to get your thoughts on a player on the team the Giants are chasing in the Padres. They're 4 back in the loss column for this wild card spot. Fernando Tatis Jr. What was your thoughts? What was your reaction when the news hit your cell phone that Fernando Tatis Jr. was popped for 80 games?
Yeah, I was surprised, obviously. I mean, especially since we had just been there, and we had seen him on the field working out with the team. We had talked to a bunch of the Padres people, and basically they were counting down the days. They were thinking it was going to be, 3, 4, 5 days from when we were there that they would see him in the Major League lineup. And, we watched Soto and Machado, and I thought, oh my gosh, what's this going to look like? Profar was doing a good job for him, but what's this going to look like when it's Tatis, Soto, and Machado? I'm thinking we're cooked. This is how do you deal with that? So I think 2 things. I give the Padres some credit because they haven't collapsed since the news. Sometimes something like that happens, and it can be a hangover effect for days on the rest of your players. And they haven't let that happen, and maybe that's part of having Soto now and new blood, and that's helped him a little bit. But gosh, it's terrible for the game. And he's got the comments from the Padres were so blunt. This is like your guy,
right?
And between AJ Preller and Bob Melvin, and even some of the players, basically saying, we've given this guy one chance already after, he lied about riding motorcycles and breaking his wrist. And obviously he didn't learn from that, so I'm not sure how many more chances we're going to give him. But essentially was the message. I mean, that's pretty stark. You got the guy signed up for the next 12 years. 12.
Time to grow up. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Time to grow up. He's
Really,
the face of baseball.
really time to
and
grow up.
it was weird, Flem and Shasky get in here because the Red Sox Yankees game is going on, and you see all these Gatorade commercials with Fernando Tatis Jr. All these Gatorade commercials. I think what makes him look worse is the comments from his father. The comments that, it was a bad haircut. There was fungus due to her haircut. It's like in this situation, just, hey, I accept the responsibility. I'm taking accountability. I owe an apology to the fans, the organization, my teammates, and just move on. Because now he looks worse, Flynn, with these comments from his father and himself.
Well, he does look worse. That kind of stuff is always just ridiculous. But because I think one of the main points is also it's like this stuff is so silly. Like I'm not saying that steroids and performance-enhancing drugs don't help you. They do. They obviously do. There's a reason that players and athletes for the last many decades have taken them. They work. But, does anybody think that what this guy was messing around with was somehow going to, make any massive impact on his career? Just say, I screwed up, I used the wrong thing, and move on. And everybody would accept that. I just don't get why that's so hard.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's transition back to the Giants here, Flem, because I'm looking at 2 guys that have flown under the radar this year. But I've been talking about them every single day, I feel like, because they're the biggest contributors on this team, and I didn't have this on my flow chart of success for the Giants heading into the year. Wilmer Flores and Thairo Estrada. To me, these are the 2 guys. I mean, maybe there's somebody that I'm omitting from like a pitching staff perspective. These are like my Willie Mack Award guys. Like, these are what I'm looking at. Wilmer has been unbelievably clutch and versatile for this team. He's playing great defense when he's out there at second. Thairo Estrada has just been clutch as well, and the shot in the arm that this team needs. I love where both of these guys are at, and I feel like they're getting no fanfare at all from the common fan.
Yeah, I'd love to see that flow chart sometime, by the way.
Well, let me tell you. It started with Jock maybe hitting a home run in July or August. That would have been nice.
That's another crazy thing. I mean, look, here's what I would say. The starting pitching is the headliner this year.
For sure.
The stars of the Giants this year have been the starting rotation. They've done an unbelievably good job, like as good as anybody in the game job. But if you're talking about on the position player side or anybody other than those starters, I think you're right. I think there's a pretty strong case that those are your 2 position player MVPs, Flores and Thairo Estrada. Maybe Tyro's starting to get a little more, when you hit a walk-off home run, that helps. You start to get a little more, notoriety. Wilmer's always just, because Wilmer doesn't do anything flashy. Everything for him is just solid and consistent. And when you do that, it's hard for people to really recognize it. Tyro does a few things that are actually a little, he's got 16 steals now. He's only been caught twice, so he's been one of the better stealers. The Giants haven't had a guy. Eduardo Nunez was the last guy who stole that many bases in a season. Like 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow.
They haven't had a guy steal 20 bags in a while. So Tyro hopefully is going to get there. That'll get him a little notoriety. He's got, weirdly, I think, the two have about equivalent power. Wilmer's hit a few more home runs, but I think Tyro's got the power to equal Wilmer Flores. Here's the one thing, my wish list for the offseason is Tyro's got to tighten up that defense.
For sure.
He's got the tools to be, you see some of the spectacular. He makes too many mistakes, doesn't get to some balls that he should get to. Now, some of that may be just instincts that isn't going to get corrected, but so maybe he's not going to win a Gold Glove. But if he could tighten up the defense to where just be solid there, you're talking about a really good overall player. The advanced numbers are killing him on defense, and I think the eye test actually confirms some of that. Sometimes I disagree a little bit, but you watch him play, especially second base. He's more comfortable at shortstop.
Yes,
but especially second base, there's some moments where it's just like, come on, he's capable of much better, and he's put in. He's the most prepared, professional, serious guy. I really like the guy, and I think the Giants may have something. He might be a guy you can kind of pencil in as an everyday player, especially if he can get that defense cleaned up.
He's got this little energy about him like Profar, where just positive things happen when he's in the game. I don't know how to put my finger on it. You referenced the pitching. Saturday night, unbelievable performance from Logan Webb. It's exactly how you draw it up. He goes 8 and barely gets out of that 8th inning, hands the ball to Doval, and they shut the door on the Pirates. That was just awesome. But just pitching in general, we obsess so much about the free agents and the hitters. We got to get hitters. I'm of the nature Rodon to me is he is step one. Re-signing Rodon. Obviously, I don't want to give him a 10-year deal, but keeping him on this roster because the best way to neutralize some of the hitting that's in this division, that's in the National League, is through elite pitching. And obviously, they're going to have to shore up the bullpen. But God, I need to bring Rodon back for next year. Him and Webb, and then obviously Harrison. Then you sprinkle in DeSclafani and Cobb and Wood. Then they'd have an elite top-end rotation. They've already got a great one. You got to bring Rodon back, right, Dave?
Here's what I would say. I don't want to throw a wet blanket on you because I agree with how important he's been for this team, and I agree that having just a stud, an elite stud alongside you already have one in Logan. Having two of them means just about every series you get at least one, and sometimes you match up two of those guys, and it's intimidating on the other side. Mm-hmm. I've loved watching him in a Giants uniform. But that said, I think almost as you started to rattle off those names, you got a guy coming who's real close now, who many people consider the best pitching prospect in the game. You're hopeful that DeSclafani, after getting this thing cleaned up surgically, is going to be. Hey, people forget Anthony DeSclafani last year was really good. I mean, he won. I can't remember how many games he won, but he pitched 175 innings and had a 3 ERA. Maybe you don't get that performance again.
Flynn, just don't throw him in. Don't throw him in there against the Dodgers.
Well, no, I mean that's true. But if you bring Junis back, you got Wood coming back, you got Cobb coming back, you got Webb. All I'm saying is, the Giants have demonstrated an extraordinary ability these last few years. Between Gausman, between Rodon, Cobb, Young, or Wood, Junis, all these guys that they have brought in here and helped make better as starting pitchers, a pretty amazing track record in just a few years. I think they're confident in their ability to do that again. And I'm only saying that in the event that I think some team's going to come in with Rodon and just, make a massive offer. And I just think the Giants are going to believe that we need some help on the position player side. We got to spend some of those dollars on getting a beefier, consistent lineup, and we can find more pitching.
Well,
I'm not saying they don't want to bring Rodon back. I think they really do. My fear is that somebody's just going to make a massive offer, and the Giants are less likely to decide that, man, our big move this offseason is that. I think they probably feel like they need help elsewhere. But I hope I'm wrong, because it's been a great part of the Giants' year to watch him pitch.
Well, Rodon, and we're talking to Dave Flemming here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. He joins us every single week. By the way, Flem, I got to ask you before we get off, how the hell did you drive in Paris? Those drivers are insane. You told me, but I don't know how you drove out there in Europe. But look, Rodon's going to be 30 years old by the start of next season, and I kind of agree with you to the point where it may cost them 5 years or $120 million to sign Rodon, a power pitcher like this. And do the Giants want to do that? Kevin Gausman got $110 million. 5 years. I mean, that's a lot of money.
That's the market rate for pitching.
I hear you.
And I think if it's that, I think they're going to be willing to do it. Now, my guess is that with Rodon, it has a chance to be even a good bit higher than that, just because the ceiling is so high with Rodon. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's viewed a little differently than Gausman. But
well, he's a lefty too.
Yeah,
he's a lefty. That helps. That fastball is such a. Gausman's got the split, which is a great pitch, and I have a lot of faith that that's going to hold up over time. But one thing about Rodon is it's like, man, when the fastball is working like that, everything else can be going wrong, and you can still get guys out. So it's almost like a safety blanket if you commit that much to guys. I mean, my reluctance on Rodon would be, again, not a criticism of him, but what's his career high in innings? Is it this year? I mean, I think he's pitched 130 innings this year. That might be his career high.
His career high in 2016, 165 innings.
Okay.
His second season in the bigs, he threw 165 innings, had a 4.04 ERA. So he's going to surpass that this season, especially if the Giants want to make a run. Speaking of making a run, look, there's 47 games left. Yesterday we were discussing it, Shasky and I. Hey, can the Giants go 31-17 over the next 48 after that walk-off against the Pirates? Rodon, Webb have to be win days. They have to be win days. But if the Giants want to win, they need another bat. And I'm looking at Brandon Belt, Flem. You know Brandon Belt as well as anybody in this market. Where's he at mentally? Because he looks like a shell of himself, and it's almost a detriment to that lineup to have him out there hitting, because it's just that knee's shot. It looks shot, Flem.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it does look that way. He's not shot. Mentally, Brandon is determined to help this team at the end of this year. He really is. Like, I've never really seen Brandon as determined as he is to do something about his performance. He's been really adamant when I've talked to him, like, it's on me. And not that he's never done that before, but he really is feeling a lot of responsibility. And it's just not happening, and that's not his fault. It's nobody's fault. He's really trying hard to be that guy. And not that it makes me sad, but it's hard to watch sometimes when the guy's just not 100%. I mean, I think it really shows up on defense. Brandon Belt's a brilliant defensive player, and he's just not moving the way that he usually does. And so anyway, they need him big time. I mean, I think if you circled one guy to say, get better performance and we can go somewhere, I think it's him because of what he means to this team. And I hope that somehow, he wakes up one of these mornings and it's just feeling a little better. Sometimes it happens, but it's obvious he's pretty compromised.
All right. Before you get on out the door, Bumgarner in an Arizona Diamondbacks uniform, it just looks goofy. It's like looking at Mays in a Mets jersey or McCovey in a Padres jersey. But that's not what I want to ask you. I want to have fun. There's no wrong answer, okay?
Okay.
Game for your life on the line.
Ooh.
Are you handing the ball to 2010 Tim Lincecum or 2014 Bumgarner?
Wow. Game life on the line.
It's a great game, isn't it?
I'm giving it to 2014 Bumgarner. Very reluctantly.
Wow. We agree on something though, Flem, because I'm with you. It's hard. It's hard to go against Timmy.
Yeah, I mean, Timmy actually, yeah, and if you told me, okay, pick one of those pitchers, but in today's game, I might take Lincecum. Because I do think Lincecum was so ahead of his time with his repertoire and the way he pitched. Bumgarner was almost perfect for that era of baseball. And maybe, although, I mean, I would always bet on Bumgarner's just pure competitiveness. And there's never been a guy with better big game makeup than Madison Bumgarner, ever. I just believe it's not possible to have better big game makeup than that guy. But it is possible that his repertoire in today's game with these swings might not be quite as effective. So you could talk me into Lincecum's stuff, just that pure stuff against today's hitters, might be the better choice.
I can't go without referencing Game 1 against Atlanta is one of the all-time greatest pitching performances I've ever seen. Well, the night that Halladay threw a no-hitter, I thought Lincecum pitched better. I don't even know if that's an accurate statement, but that's the way it felt.
I think he did, actually. Yeah. I do. I think I would agree that he pitched better than Halladay. It was one of the all-time great performances in Giants history and playoff history, and it was incredible, and it was a tense, tight game. It was exactly the kind of game that Bumgarner had to navigate through, but Bum was just 2014.
Incredible.
It was silly. That's silly.
Starting with the wild card game where it's a winner-take-all right away, where you're facing elimination right away, and he didn't even blink. I mean, in an atmosphere and environment that was really something else in Pittsburgh, it was like, yeah, bring it on. What do you got? You got something more for me? I don't think so.
That image of him coming out of the bullpen in Kansas City Game 7, where it's like, yep, ball game, give it to Bum, and he just goes out there and finishes it off, man. What a night that was in Kansas City as the Giants win their third title in 5 years. Flem, always good to hear from you. Let's see if they can win 5 in a row.
I'm going
5
tonight.
in a row. Chassis going to be there.
Tonight.
Yep.
Don't bother Flynn. It's a big game for him.
Whenever I go to the game, don't I come by and say what up?
He does, of course. You do, and I appreciate that. To come by anytime and and say hi, you can do that.
Exactly.
Well, Shasky likes to overstay his welcome.
No,
one inning may turn into 3 innings, and then it may turn into 5.
Afar.
All right. I'm kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Put the hex on Merrill Kelly, would you?
Yeah, seriously.
He's been harder on the Giants probably than any other pitcher these last couple of years. They have had a hard time with Merrill Kelly.
Yeah,
no doubt about that. Let's see what the Giants are out. Jacob Junis, man, big start for him. Flem, always good to hear from you, man. Have a good call tonight.
Talk to you guys soon. All right.